Hello there, everybody. This is Alex from Hardcoring Guides, bringing my guide for Uncharted 2 Among Thieves on Crushing difficulty. Today we're doing Chapter 5 entitled Urban Warfare. This is by far my favorite chapter. I don't know what else to say about it besides hold on, let me mute the audio there. I forgot to do that. Yeah, this was always and probably still is just my favorite chapter because the first time I ever played Uncharted was back at a demo kiosk. And it was Uncharted 2. I never heard of Uncharted until 2. And then when I saw this and I played it, I'm like, oh my god. Like, this is right here the future of gaming. Like, this is awesome. Like, it's like a movie game. It's so crazy. But yeah, how crazy it was to be, the younger me, I guess. And easily be deceived by the later forthcomings of the future that will eventually inevitably give us movie games that decide to be more of a movie than a video game. But that's not the shit on Uncharted 2, or even 3 for that matter, because those are great, and even The Last of Us Part 1, I think those are great movie-type games. I think Naughty Dog did a great job with those, so it's just things that after I don't really care much for. But yeah, I get the propane attack right there. Hank Hill would be, well, he'd probably be pretty happy about it. I used propane to my advantage, so I think he's okay with that. Used propane to take out like 2 guys. Kind of messed up the blind fire shot on the 3rd guy, but that's fine. Dude misses anyway. I mean, what's it matter? So after that's all taken care of, it's now back into the fun little platforming sections. And honestly, this really truly was a great demo chapter to show off because it has stealth, it has shooting, and it has platforming. And honestly, the level itself just looks great. Like, I understand that the whole thing is completely falling apart. Everything looks completely destroyed, but it's Uncharted, Sometimes it's nice to have levels that are just completely destroyed because it works really well with the concept of what Uncharted is, like climbing onto a bunch of stuff and looking for little ways to get around areas. And what better way to do that and show that off than this? This is also the introduction of the FAL, and this has a zoom in command. If you're not familiar with Uncharted, it has a zoom function. Technically a secondary zoom, like you can actually look through the scope, which is really cool. And once again, I remember when I got this gun, I was like, yo, this is sick. Like, this is really sick. So, yeah, I was really excited back then for a lot of stuff. Get a couple of good stealth kills going in here. I did. I mean, you can too, but I got like a good couple of them. I was surprised I even did that. There's too many enemies. So instead of just going for stealth, which you might be able to do this, all stealth, I decided to go against the Metal Gear way of things and just completely let loose. So watch out for that guy right there behind the corner, because he might catch you off guard. I did see him at first, but I kind of just left him there, so I didn't think it'd be much of a bother. He's not a shotgunner, so thankfully, thank God for that. And if you ever see an enemy about to throw a grenade, I know this is pretty obvious by this point, but if you ever catch an enemy just about to throw a grenade, focus on them just to get rid of it. Mainly just to get rid of them. Now, speaking of introductions of enemies, I think this is the first introduction of the riot shield type enemy. And what I usually do to them, there's a couple ways to take them out. I think Uncharted 3 improves upon that, if I remember correctly. But the main way I always take them out is just by throwing a grenade near their feet and where they're walking. Which is why it's always not a bad idea to just have one singular grenade. Usually at all times. And, if you do get some stealth kills, you saw earlier that you also get extra little bonuses sometimes here and there. And usually enemies drop a grenade every once in a while, so it's fine. And then, because he was close enough to drop the riot shield, I could have actually used the riot shield for pretty decent cover for a bit if I wanted to. But I'm going to stick with the old-fashioned cover here and just start making my way to the other side so I can take out this guy up here for good, even though I thought he was probably going to be dead. And another introduction of a gun, micro. No, don't worry. I'm not talking about myself here. I'm talking about the gun itself. Basically, just a nice secondary automatic weapon. And automatic weapons in this game are nice to have. They really are. Because, again, if you ever get yourself caught in a situation where there's like a ton of enemies like this, then having an automatic weapon around to keep yourself from getting flanked, you know, using blind fire, that sort of thing, to keep yourself away from enemies. And right there, I kept the West for too long. I kind of forgot where it was after a while. I kept the West there for essentially later. I didn't want to use it right now, because I wanted to kind of just stick with something automatic that I can use in case these guys come around. Also, if you hide behind cover, a lot of the time, enemies will just not know that you're there, and they'll actually try to look for you sometimes too. Which is really nifty and actually really helpful when you're trying to just get away and get like some pop shots on them and just keep yourself from getting shot yourself. It's always quite nice. But yeah, time to platform. Again, don't mind the vibration. My computer's doing what it normally does all the time. Just keeps making noise again. It's pissing me off. I have like nothing open besides just the video. I don't know why it's doing this right now. And I know for a fact it's that. I probably should just dust it out, actually. It's been a while. Yeah, here we just gotta go platform around. I'm looking for where I was supposed to be going, and then didn't realize, you know, once again what I was doing, and somehow just cancel animation to kick that door. It has been a good bit since I've done these chapters. You know, when I did my test run, I think I got like maybe a couple chapters in just to kind of get sort of a feel for things again, I guess. I wouldn't really call it much of a test run. I know I keep saying that it was, but it really wasn't. Either way, you know, I have a bit more of a feel of the game now, so, or once again. But obviously it's been a long time since I've done this, so I did forget quite a few things, and of course I fall off like an idiot twice, but that's alright. Thought there was treasure over here. That's what my brain was thinking. I was like, wait a minute, I think there's treasure there, but no, that's progress. And then before you, although I think you can actually just open the door for her, first thing, but you will be attacked by another group of enemies, and this is where the FAL comes in handy, because there's going to be a lot of enemies that are going to be from, you know, that are going to be a good distance away. And to be fair, letting Chloe out doesn't really matter, because is she really going to help us that much? Probably not. So, this is one of those instances of Uncharted having good cover, and it's right behind us, actually. It's the stairs. Because if the enemies cannot see you, there's a high chance that they probably can't hit you either. And if you use cover like this, instead of like just, you know, sticking inside of the cover itself, and I get a kill right here. There's actually a guy right above him too, by the way, so watch out for that. And I just come down here on the stairs, and if they get too close, I just whip out the micro just to get some automatic shots. Basically panic shots, so I can have a consistent stun. And that, you know, I'm kind of afraid that the FAL will not stun enough. Even though I assume it probably does. But that's one of the big things about this game I'm trying to keep track of, is trying to make sure my enemies are stunned, so they never get any shots off on me. And I forgot one guy. Oh well, who cares? It's fine. But yeah, the stairs being cover is really nice. Having something to kind of just fall back to all the time is very useful in a game like this. And a lot of the time, too, enemies don't typically seem to flank all that much. You get your moments where they do. Yeah, try to pick up a grenade. Yeah, I know, right? You know, enemies, you know, they do tend to flank sometimes, but they're not from fear. And they don't really do that all the time. So, realistically, you can always just, if things get kind of rough, go back to the place you just came from and essentially use that as pretty much just basic cover and what have you. It's the Uncharted formula that I've stuck with since 1, because it is so damn helpful in 1, and you know, it's just as helpful as it is in 2 and 3. Maybe a bit less, because Uncharted 2 and 3 are a little bit more lenient about just about everything. So you die, I feel like you die a lot less, or you don't die nearly as fast. You don't get into gray health nearly as fast, even though in all technicality I know that Drake's not actually getting shot. But point is that your chances to die are a lot less, I feel. But even then still, that's it. So As always, take care, everybody.